On today's Apple Daily, we've got a single topic show because Tim Cook is due to appear on CBS This Morning. Let's talk about what he's going to say.
For the latest Apple news, rumors, and leaks, every weekday at 12 UTC. Join us in the iCave.
I'm iCaveDave, and if you want the latest Apple news, leaks and rumours every weekday at 12 UTC, like this video, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss a thing. If you do that, you can use hashtag notification squad in the comments so that I know you've done it, and you will get a shout out at the end of the show, just like the guys that did it before. In fact, why wait? Today we have a new member of the notification squad, and it is Neil Venton. Thank you so much for joining the notification squad, and if you want a shout out just like that, then let me know in the comments that you've rung the bell by using hashtag notification squad. On today's CBS This Morning, Tim Cook will be sitting down with Gayle King to talk about something, some kind of announcement for Apple, but it's not a new product announcement. But yes, today's show is all about that announcement that's coming from Tim Cook later today on CBS This Morning. Now, when I say later today, I'm filming this at about 7 AM here. It's about 2 PM, I believe, in the US that's going to be going out. So not too long to wait. And if it's something really big, we will jump on a live stream and we can all talk about it then. But first of all, let's talk about what it isn't. So some have said that it could be a reaction to what happened at the Capitol the other day, and that the announcement is something to do with that. Now, I think that's already been pretty much debunked by Gayle King herself on yesterday's show, when she said that we were sitting down already to talk about this product announcement. This was already kind of booked in when that happened, and they were able to ask a couple of questions of Tim following that. But what she has said is that they're going to make a big announcement, and it is not about a new product, but something that I think is bigger and better than that. So what is it going to be? I've been through a lot of the rumours websites to see what people are expecting. Also, Sam from iUpdate did a really good video on this, so I want to give a shout out to him. So first of all, a lot of people are speculating that it could be to do with a COVID vaccine something. So there's thoughts that it could be about vaccine distribution, because obviously Apple has already been involved in the tracking of the virus in the past with their collaboration with Google, and right now they've got a whole bunch of buildings around the world in different places that are either not being able to be used at all or being used for express purchases at the front entrance with all their Apple stores. So it could be that they're offering up their Apple stores as part of the distribution effort, but to be completely honest, right now, the biggest issue with the vaccine is not distribution, but production. So I don't think many governments are struggling for places to distribute it. I think the problem that we have right now is getting enough of it made. So that is my concern with that one. I think a lot of people think it's a distribution issue. It's not. It's actually getting enough of the vaccine made. Here in the UK, at least, we've had about 2 million doses administered already, and as soon as they're arriving from the manufacturers and been approved, they are being used. So I don't think that's what it's going to be, but we don't know. What I think is more likely is that Apple is looking to help fund getting more of these vaccines produced more quickly, and potentially funding their distribution in countries that don't have the funds or don't have healthcare systems to bring it about. So it could be an extension of Product Red, which I believe in the last year they have transitioned from just being about HIV/AIDS to help fund COVID efforts too. Other thoughts are that this could be around an acquisition, so Apple buying a big company of some sort that they're bringing into the fold, although that seems, again, like the sort of thing that would be more of a big press release rather than something that happens on a CBS breakfast show. It would be more about the markets knowing about it than anything else. However, acquisitions that I think Apple could make would be things along the lines of MGM's back catalogue. It looks like MGM is looking to sell their back catalogue as a studio. This came up during the past, I think, about a month that this has been talked about, and I mentioned MGM would be a really good acquisition for Apple a little while ago to bolster their back catalogue for Apple TV Plus. I don't think it fits for this kind of setup. I don't feel like this is what CBS would be interested in. They'd just be like, so okay, cool, just put it out as a press release. I don't feel like it's the kind of thing that a news organisation would want to sit down with Apple to talk about. However, right now, I guess anything about Apple that's a cool exclusive would be a win for any news organisation. So there's a possibility. Patently, Apple has suggested that Tim Cook might be joining the Biden administration and stepping down from Apple. Now, that would be a huge, that would certainly be a huge announcement. But again, I think if that was happening, people would be tying it back to what happened at the Capitol the other day. I think he could absolutely be working with the Biden administration as an advisor. Now, knowing a bit more about Tim Cook's background, where he came from, his hometown has really criticised him for not bringing jobs back there, but he has said, I will bring jobs as soon as you remove all the discrimination that's going on in the area. So Tim is definitely, as we know, Tim Cook is very much an advocate for civil rights and for rights of the LGBTQ plus community, for all kinds of groups who have prejudice against them. So it could absolutely be something along those lines. It could be an announcement about bringing more manufacturing to the US. That would be a really big announcement that would make sense to be put out on a TV show, to be put out on a news network, and make a great exclusive. So there's absolutely some chance of that happening. Now we're getting into things that I think is more likely. Apple has put out adverts around privacy during CES, which is going on right now. You might have noticed that everything on the internet is about random new product announcements that don't really exist or aren't coming very soon or will never be bought by any normal humans. Apple doesn't take part of CES, but they always do some content around it. So a couple of days ago they released some new adverts around privacy, how Face ID keeps all of your information on your phone, Apple Pay doesn't track what you're buying, all that kind of thing. So there could be some announcements around privacy. That makes a lot more sense. It could be that they're finally rolling out the app tracking transparency in a real way. This is what Facebook was having their huge beef with them around over the last couple of weeks, and putting out those huge full page ads. So it might be that Apple has decided to do a big public rollout of this, actually explain what it means in real terms, and kind of debunk some of the stuff that Facebook was putting out there. To be completely honest, the way that Facebook pitched this to the public was quite disingenuous. It wasn't about small businesses, it was about what they would lose. Businesses are still able to market. Facebook would still have data from what you do within the app. The only thing that Apple was going to stop was you being tracked across other platforms, so being tracked on your phone outside of the Facebook app, so what you were doing in Safari, what you were doing in other places. And Tim already came out and made a statement that Facebook would absolutely still be able to track you across those platforms as long as you said it was okay. And that was just a genius stroke of a move from Tim. So it could be an expansion on what he said there. Now, Sam iUpdate also suggested it could be an Apple VPN, which I thought was a really interesting thing and something I'd never heard any thoughts about before. But yes, it would make sense for Apple to kind of create their own anonymizing, like basically taking Safari private mode and making it even more anonymous by pushing it through a VPN. So anyone that is oppressed and anyone that has issues where they could be tracked by a government or they could be tracked by other things to reduce their free speech, that could be something that they do. Now, this would be a difficult pitch for Apple right now when they've just removed things like Parler, which I personally agree with their removal. Free speech is important, but inciting violence, which is basically what Parler itself was just full of. I'm absolutely fine with the idea of having a platform where people can speak their minds openly. But when that speaking your mind is making people be violent, and Parler was purely full of very far right-wing ideas, and not just the ideas, but also, I don't really want to get into the Parler thing because it was just horrendous. Full disclosure, I joined Parler when I first set up living on iPad, purely to post my tech news there because I knew that a lot of the people that were leaving Twitter because of its not censorship, because it's not censorship when it's on a private platform, but their restrictions on what people were able to post, I knew that a lot of people would move over to Parler. I set up an account there purely to post my tech videos. I think I posted about twice and then just abandoned it because it was such a toxic environment. But this is the problem, when the tech platforms do kind of stop people posting on the mainstream platforms, they will move over to a new platform and it will just purely be the toxic stuff that wasn't allowed on the other platforms. So it's very difficult. It's a very difficult line for Twitter and Facebook and everyone else to tread. So I don't know what the answer is. I'm also not a First Amendment freedom of speech lawyer, anything like that. But these tech platforms are certainly allowed to stop people from posting stuff that they find objectionable on their platforms. Twitter has a kind of duty to allow people to speak on there and speak freely. However, they do not have an obligation to be a part of an armed insurrection and enable that to happen. That kind of went off track a little bit. But here's my guess, and actually this came up in Sam at iUpdate's video as well, right at the end, but I'd already written it down in my notes when that video came up, and I was just like, oh, well, let's check out what Sam's got to say. So this wasn't, this didn't come to mind because Sam had said it, but he also did mention it. Apple's search engine. This is something we've been hearing about for quite a while. Now, Sam did mention that there's no credible kind of leaks. It's not come from anyone specific, but because this is a software platform, this is not something that we would have supply chain leaks for. It's not something we would have parts being leaked. However, we have seen evidence for it. We have seen websites noticing more that Applebot has been crawling their sites and indexing their pages. We've seen that Apple has been putting a lot more time and effort into getting better search results through Siri and through the rest of their platforms that they have. So I have a feeling that it could be a very private search engine where maybe, and I don't know how it would work from a technical aspect, it handles your privacy in the same way that Touch ID and Face ID does, where your kind of profile is stored purely on your device and then sent out anonymously in order to get the right results back. I don't know exactly how that would work, but that seems to me like the kind of way that it would work. Maybe there's an anonymized hash attached to your Apple ID so that you can still get relevant results, but the websites that it takes you to then don't see that it's you. Maybe it works like those randomized Apple ID email addresses that they can use for sign-in with Apple. Maybe it's something like that. I really don't know the details around this. I'm very excited to see what actually happens. It could be an absolute damp squib and we just we just go, oh that, yeah, it's just the app transparency that we knew was coming anyway. I would love it if it is this search engine thing, and I think that is quite a good possibility. So it would have no tracking for you. The websites themselves wouldn't know who you are, but you would be able to see relevant search results. Deep integration with all of Apple's devices, of course. That's why I think maybe it's going to be more attached to your Apple ID than it is to the devices themselves in like a secure enclave, and perhaps include a VPN style technology for their private browsing modes. So if you need to get online to see websites that have been blocked by a government, for example, then it would be able to do that for you. You wouldn't need to use an external VPN, because there have been some VPNs out there that do keep logs of where you've been, and kind of that's the point of a VPN, is that doesn't happen. I feel like Apple might try and make it a lot easier. I don't think the public in general understands what a VPN is, even though every tech YouTuber has been sponsored by one except me. Very sad about that, tech internet. Why does nobody want to sponsor me? Probably because I'm just telling everyone that VPNs haven't necessarily been secure in the past. Those are my thoughts anyway. What do you think? Please let me know in the comments. This is going to be really interesting to see what you guys think. Please let me know in the comments what you think Apple might be revealing. It's been said already that it's not a product as such, so like a physical product. I do think the search engine or something like that might not be considered a product by CBS, which is why I think it's a possibility. I don't think it's going to be anything else on their services side. I don't think they're going to go, oh, it's some new stuff on Apple TV Plus. That just doesn't seem like a big enough thing. And they did say that it's bigger and better than a new product. So it's got to be something big. And whether it is Tim Cook moving to help with the new administration in the US, bringing more manufacturing to the US, I don't know. I think it's probably going to be more around privacy and potentially search engine stuff. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. And if it's a big thing, we will be live streaming as soon as it happens. So make sure your notifications are turned on so that you don't miss it. See you in the next one.